Revenge films.
I've been going out with my boyfriend for 2 years now. Since we got together when I was already in my 30s, I had always had the idea of getting married to him somewhere in the back of my mind. And since we've been together, I've met his parents many times, so I thought that he too was thinking about the two of us getting married in the near future. He'd also say things like,
"Once we get married and start a family of our own, it'd be nice to have 2 kids.
Which made me think that he was serious about our relationship and that maybe he'd be proposing to me soon, which made me so happy. One night, my boyfriend had booked a dinner for us at an expensive restaurant. The food there was delicious, and I couldn't help but think at the time that he might be proposing to me that night. But after our meal, he paid for us and proceeded to simply leave the restaurant. I thought he might be proposing to me tonight, but I guess I just got the wrong idea. Thinking that to myself, I was really embarrassed that I'd gotten my hopes up so much. I still thought it was a little peculiar, though, that we'd gone out for a fancy dinner, even though that day wasn't a particularly special day for us. But I decided not to say anything when we were making our way back to his place after dinner. But then, all of a sudden, when we got to his place, he went down on one knee and proposed to me. I knew something was up with him tonight, but I thought he would have proposed to me in the restaurant if anything, so I was surprised that he'd proposed to me at his place. Still, I was so happy that he'd done so. But just as I was about to say yes, he said the most outrageous thing.
To be honest, I have $50,000 worth of debt.
Wait, what? I couldn't believe that he just proposed to me, but then also uncovered this truth about him at the same time. To be in debt is one thing, but also to be in debt for $50,000 is a totally different ballgame. Not only that, though, he continued to say,
"You know it's difficult for one person to have to pay back $50,000, but after we get married, we'll both be able to pay off my debt together. You make a lot of money, Clara, so I'm sure we'll be able to pay off my debt in no time."
I couldn't believe what he had just said to me, but he kept going.
"If it's still difficult for only the 2 of us to pay off my debt, then I'm sure you could also ask for your parents to help us out. I'm sure they'd give us $50,000, just like that. I know your family's rich, so $50,000 to you guys is like nothing, right?"
I was so shocked as to what he was saying to me now. I couldn't believe that any of this was really happening. It's true that my career as a hairdresser really took off, and thankfully I now own quite a few hair salons in the downtown area, and that I have plans to keep expanding my business further. Also, my family does own a successful apparel company, so generally speaking, my family and I are pretty well off. But still, my boyfriend's debt and how much money I or my family make have no correlation whatsoever. And after hearing the way he talked about his debt, I could tell that he had no plans at all of even helping to pay it back. I could tell that if I agreed to this, then he would make me and my family pay his debt back in full on his behalf. It also irked me that it seemed like as though he thought I'd definitely say yes to his proposal, even though he just told me about all of the debt he has. He even said,
"After we get married, you'll be fine with us living with my parents, right? I was originally thinking we could simply live next door to my parents. But with all the money you make, Clara, now I'm thinking that it would be best for us to build a big house where we can live together with my parents."
This guy was truly unbelievable. How could he not see that this proposal of his only looked like he was after my money? And with that realization, I lost all the feelings I had towards him. I honestly just wanted to throw the ring he had proposed to me with right at his stupid face. But instead, I kept my cool and simply smiled at him and said, "I think if we're together, then we'll be able to overcome anything." I lied. To that, he seemed so happy with himself and said,
"Yes! You passed!"
"What do you mean I passed? Why is he acting like he's superior to me and somehow has the authority over me to tell me if I passed or failed anything?" I'd really had enough of him at this point, but I still tried to keep calm and didn't show him my true emotions just yet. I decided it was time for me to get back at him, so I decided to lie and say, "If we're being completely honest with each other now, then I need to tell you that I actually signed up to help my friend pay off her debt of $40,000. Since we're getting married, now you'll help me pay off that debt of hers too, right?" To that, his face went completely pale and he said,
Wait, you're kidding, right?
"No, I'm not. I didn't want to have to tell you this, but since we're being completely honest with each other now, I thought I should tell you about my debt. Now we both know that we both have debt to pay off. I know we've got a lot to pay off together, but as long as we've got each other, I believe anything is possible for us."
I'm not sure if that's true. You know you can't just go around signing off on other people's debt, right?
He tried to school me. But my friend was in such a tight spot, I had to help her. I thought you liked how much I cared for others, and that's why you wanted to get married to me. Oh, also, my little sister and her husband are thinking of getting a loan in order to build a new house, and asked me to sign off on that too. They're getting a loan of $1 million. You don't mind if I help them out with that too, right?
$1 million? You're kidding, right?
No, I'm being completely serious. They're thinking of building a really nice place in the suburbs, so obviously that'll cost them around that much money. I'd say if anything, $1 million might be on the cheaper side, I said while I slipped the ring he had proposed to me with on my finger.
I really don't know if it's a good idea for you to sign off on a loan for that much money, Clara.
But I'm just doing for them what you asked of me. Then isn't it strange that you'd be against me helping them when you're okay with me helping you? After we get married, we'll both be family. And family has to help each other out. And you even want to build a new house for us and your parents, right? Why is it so bad when my sister simply wants to do the same for her and her husband? To that, my boyfriend didn't have anything to say. Obviously, everything that I was saying about my friend having debt and my sister trying to build her own house was all a lie. But at that moment, my boyfriend took back the engagement ring from my finger.
Wait, let me think about all of this.
And with that, he ran off somewhere. I found out later on that actually he wasn't $50,000 in debt, he was actually $100,000 in debt. I couldn't believe I hadn't known this, but it also turned out that he had accumulated all of that debt from gambling. At first, apparently he had been borrowing money from his friends in order to sustain his addiction, but that wasn't enough for him. So he then later decided to loan money from a loan shark. I didn't know about any of this when we started dating. At the beginning of our relationship, I was actually only a hairdressing assistant. But after a while, my boss's parents fell ill, and so my boss had to go back to her hometown in order to look after them. That's when my previous boss had asked me if I was interested in buying her hair salon from her, and to that I said yes. After that, luckily for me, business went well, and I was able to open a few other hair salons too. Now that I think about it, all this time I guess my boyfriend really was only after all the money I had, and he probably thought that in the end, after we got married, I'd be the one to rid him of all his debt. I'm so glad I dodged that bullet by not accepting his proposal. After that night, I told my boyfriend that actually everything I had told him previously was all a lie, and I officially declined his proposal. He was super mad after finding out that I lied to him, and he tried to threaten me to get married to him after all, or at least pay him for damages because I lied to him. But there's no way he'd ever win a case like that in court, so there was no way I'd be paying him money for that. In the end, he had accumulated so much debt, thinking that me and my family would pay it all off for him one day. After we broke up, it seemed as though the pressure of all that debt finally made the loan sharks he had borrowed money from go into his office and demand him to pay up. After his company found out about this, he was quickly fired on the spot. He got exactly what he deserved. Apparently, now he doesn't have a place to stay anymore and he's living out on the streets, but he brought all that upon himself. A while after that, he tried to get back in touch with me saying,
I love you, Clara. Please don't leave me like this. How could you throw away 2 years of our lives together just like that? If you love me, then paying off my debt would be such an easy thing for you to do for me. You have money to do so. So what's so wrong with you to spend it on me, the man you love?
That's the message he'd left on my answering machine. I couldn't believe that he was still trying to guilt trip me in paying off his debt for him. If anything, I feel like he should pay me for the emotional damage he caused me. And it annoyed me the most that he was alright with me helping him to pay back his debt, but when I asked of him to do the same for me, he just ran away. As for me, after all this went down, I guess my friends felt bad for me, so they introduced me to some guys they knew and I went on a few dates. On one of them, I met a guy that was really into fishing, which is a hobby we had in common. And as we were able to bond over that, after a while, we ended up going out. From the beginning of our relationship, we had both known that we were seriously considering our future together. And after a year of being together, he proposed to me. I was a little scared to accept his proposal because of what happened to me with my ex-boyfriend, but I still love my current boyfriend deeply, so I decided to say yes. I showed my engagement ring to my friend that had introduced him to me, and she said, "I'm so happy for the two of you! I know he's a great guy, so I'm sure the two of you will have a wonderful life together." And with those kind words of hers, my current boyfriend, then fiancé, quickly became my husband. Honestly, after I'd broken things off with my ex-boyfriend, I thought that it'd be difficult for me to find love again. But I was able to do so, and for that I'm so happy. I'm also glad in hindsight that my ex-boyfriend had told me about his debt the moment he proposed to me, because I'd hate to think that we could have ended up being married without me knowing of his dark secret. If that had happened, I think I might have caved in and helped him pay off his debt, seeing as we'd have been a married couple. Still, he probably would have continued to fuel his gambling addiction without a care in the world for me and my family's well-being. But all I can say for certain now is that I'm so happy I didn't end up going down that path. I'm so happy I didn't up with that pathetic man.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.